Bread, circuses, and blood sports. And don't forget the wars. That was the essence of the Roman Empire. The circuses actually were the blood sports. We have football nowadays. We don't have the Colosseum in Rome where people fought to the death. We just have Colosseums in America, such as the upcoming Super Bowl. And I confess, all right, I don't want to be a hypocrite here. I confess I watch the Super Bowl every year. And even when it's a blowout, I usually stay to the end because I want to see the new commercials. There's so much money spent on messaging and on commercials, and some of them are really funny. Some of them are really heartwarming. Some of them have turned out to be pretty pro-life. Anyway, this weekend is the Super Bowl, and the oldest starting quarterback in NFL history for a Super Bowl, Peyton Manning, will be leading the Broncos against the Panthers. And I'm by the way, I'm excited that Coldplay, the musical group, is going to be playing at halftime. I'm disappointed that Beyonce is going to be singing. I think that she has been an incredibly bad influence on millions of young girls for obvious reasons. That's where the circuses tend to poison. But for things that will matter for this country's fate and for eternity for many people, because the political leadership of a country does impact the eternities of various human souls because of what happens with the gospel or doesn't happen with the gospel, who is born, who is dead. This Saturday night, ABC is hosting a Republican debate, 8 p.m. on Saturday evening. 7 candidates will be on the stage, and it will not include Carly Fiorina. She did not make the cut according to ABC. At the time of this recording, she is pleading with them and asking the Republican National Committee to intervene so that she can be on the stage because she says, look, I beat Chris Christie, I beat Kasich, the governor from Ohio, and if I beat them in Iowa, why shouldn't I be on the stage? We'll see how it plays out. But at this point, Donald Trump is trouncing everyone in New Hampshire. We spoke about polling in the last segment. If you want to see just an incredible poll, go a machine, a mechanism, go to Real Clear Politics and look at this poll. It allows you to wave your cursor over the screen and to see the daily averages of all the polls, the aggregate of all the polls being recorded in America, or most of them, and then put in real time. So as of right now, Friday evening, Donald Trump is at around 32% in New Hampshire. Rubio is around 14%, right? So Donald Trump is beating him 2-1, according to the average of the polls. Ted Cruz is in third place with around 10 or 11%. And guess who's trying to make a comeback in New Hampshire and bringing out the family to do it? That's right, Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush has former President George Bush the Younger speaking out on his behalf, and even his mom. The appearance of Mrs. Bush on CBS, in my opinion, was an embarrassment. The American people, many of the American people, I should say, are weary of dynasties. The Clintons are trying to develop a dynasty. The Kennedys had a political dynasty. The Adams family had something of a dynasty at the foundation of this republic. And the Bushes have a dynasty. The problem is the Bush family, the Bush dynasty, is so closely connected with the Republican establishment that it has sunk Jeb Bush. And then sadly, to bring out his mom in the way that he did, it really looked bad. The CBS interview that she did, if you can find it online, it's worth watching. She tried to go after Trump, but it fell flat. Jeb mentioned to her, yeah, the culture has changed. No one could use bad words in a public speech, in a political speech with thousands of people there, some of them with their kids. And Barbara turned and said, who did that? And Jeb said, your friend, meaning Trump. It was like, Mom, how could you not know that? And Mrs. Bush saying, I can't believe the way he treats women, and that, like he said to Megyn Kelly. Mrs. Bush, for those of you who don't know, is a diehard supporter of murdering babies in the womb, okay? We euphemistically call it pro-choice. You have to remember that George Bush, the senior, was pro-choice when he ran for president. And then a physician, the head of the National Right to Life Committee, sat down with him and discussed how human life actually began. And that's when George Bush, the elder, had his conversion to pro-life. It was a political necessity. If he was going to be Reagan's vice president and be in line for the presidency, well, Jack Wilkie, who met with him, had to do his job and get Bush to see the light. But Barbara Bush, his wife, never saw the light. She remained staunchly pro-choice, in support of killing babies. So I don't want to hear from a pro-choice person about how somebody interacts with Megyn Kelly. Because if you were really concerned about women, Mrs. Bush, you would not support the brutal murder of half of them before they left their mother's womb and saw the light of day.